Remember I was talking about types of systems? There are some very interesting systems that came to my mind. Master systems. But before we do master systems, let's understand a very important context. You guys must have heard master level data, transaction level data. Let's dive deep into this and understand what am I trying to say whenever I say this thing. So I'm very interested in finding a good article on types of data. Whenever I go to Google or try to find different types of data, I find like weird types also. I'm not interested in those weird types. I'm interested in from a business system perspective what are the types of data. If anybody finds these five kind of different types in one article, do bring it to my attention. I won't find. Either I find 50 or I find 2. I never find all this. But I want to mainly tell you what is master data and transaction data because that hits you a lot. Hits you a lot. इसको बंद करेंगे हम लोग. At a very high level, there are two types of data which hit your job every day. One is transactional data, one is master data. Chapter 9 talks in detail about it, but I don't know how much justice does it do to the entire topic. I'm going to explain it quite quickly. If you notice, a service request is there. Service request is entered by a rep saying that this guy called and said that he has an issue. Issue with what? The product that he bought long time ago, or asset that he bought long time ago, or the product, the product piece, the piece that he bought long time ago. So this piece is the one which is having the issue. If let's say there is no such piece, like there is no data available for that, can he enter service request and say his piece is not working? What is not working? We need to track. First of all, he needs to check whether the person is entitled for the free service or how much service should be given, things like that. I mean, the transaction is entering service request. The service representative is entering service request. We understand that part. But it has to be entered against something. That against something is whatever he's entering now, like every day he's entering. How many transactions occur, like how many service requests are entered by Dell every day? A lot, right? We understand that part. Like 100,000, 20,000, 10,000, like a big number. It's not a small number in any case. Assets is the master data against which, or that piece is the master data. Dell keeps a record of each and every piece they have sold, and they enter the service request against that piece. If that piece information is not present in the service request system, then service request cannot be entered effectively. That's a keyword. They might use Excel. They might as well use Excel. Why are they spending $10 million if they don't keep the master data and enter the transaction against the master data? If you notice, once asset is sold, there will be a master data that will be residing there as master data. Many service requests might come and keep getting attached to it. 5, 6, 7 over the period of next 2 years. You might call them 20 times. Those are all transactions. If you notice, transactions are a lot. Master data is only one. It just remains static over the next 2 years, and probably for the next 100 years, it will just remain there as one single thing. Transactions will keep occurring against it. That's why they call it like it's static in nature. Master is very static in nature, and transactional is very dynamic in nature. It keeps on adding. When we say dynamic, it means new data is coming, new records are coming. When you say static, that asset remains there. So I asked this question, like account will remain there. So account is another very good master data. Example, orders, opportunities, these are entered against account or contact. These are entered against someone, against an account. This is a customer, he's asking for it. Your emails, these are the transactional data. A lot of emails you get every day, but your profile is a master data. Your profile is not changing. So one of these days I said, to one of my friends, I said, what is dynamic here? Why do you call it dynamic?
Change your profile.
There's so many records being entered. That's what makes it dynamic. Account profile, not new records are coming. I said, let's say you get an email. It will remain there like this. You cannot change it also when you get an email. Agreed?
Yes.
So I said, email cannot be changed, but you can go to account profile and you can change it. Doesn't it look like more dynamic? And this one is more static because it will never be changed. So that's not what we are talking about though. Static and dynamic are very generic words. They can be used in different contexts. Here I'm really talking about the number of records that are being added every day of that entity. And that's what is making me call it dynamic. Whereas account profile, you would create one profile, and after that, I created one Hotmail profile in like 14 years. After that, I never created any. They forced me to create a Gmail profile, that to in another system, which I again hate. And that was once in 2 years. I got like 10,000 emails against that same profile. The emails are attached to this profile. That profile is the master data, which does not change in the sense that the number of those records for me is not changing. Someone might say, but new people are coming, they create their profiles. Great answer. Great observation. Yes. Yes. So the main transaction of this email system is the email. That's how we model it. The mail transaction is the email, and account profile is very, very static in comparison to that email. So in this context, this is master data, this is transactional data. So we will always remember the difference between master data and transactional data. This is the very important thing. It also takes us back to our systems discussion, where we discuss systems. There are two types of systems with this context. Transactional systems. Siebel is a transaction system. It is used for entering opportunities, quotes, and orders. You do enter accounts, you do enter contacts, but they are not maintained in Siebel. Master data management is a very interesting discipline, and there are separate softwares to do that. Accounts are not only entered in Siebel, they could be entered everywhere. In some other CRMs also, let's say Yahoo or Cisco, they could be using multiple CRMs, and they all would be getting account data. They will be getting opportunity data as well. We'll talk about it. So that's not the differentiating factor. So but the opportunity that there is another system. We are not interested in that, but we are definitely interested in the new account that they created, because if I create an opportunity against this account here and they create an opportunity against that account here, then Mr. CFO is interested in knowing how much this account bought. He will get a bad picture. He will think there are two accounts who bought $50 and $50 worth of goods. Actually, it is the same account which bought $100 worth of goods. And who knows, $100 means like a premium account. So our strategy should change for this account, but we are getting a bad picture. If that same account is going to 10 different systems and producing orders for us, like 10 different orders, we are getting like $50, but actually it's a very premium account because he has given us $500 worth of orders. So this whole picture is very important. This is called as 360-degree view of the account. We'll get into account management. It's a very important discussion, and I have a full video of account management. And account management is all about making sure the CFOs, CEOs, COOs, directors, VPs get the 360-degree view of the account, right? So this is possible if we maintain this account in a central place, because accounts are entered everywhere. So we'll talk about that. That is again master data management. But then there are two types of systems: master data management systems and transaction systems. System is used to enter opportunities, and they're entered against account. They're entered against this thing. And this context will come again and again in the picture. Whenever we are doing the EIM load, right? We always keep master data has to be kept in sync. That's one thing. Second thing is when we're doing deduplication of data, we talk about it. Master data is deduplicated. Transaction data is never deduplicated. Whenever you're talking about seed data, master data is the seed data. Transaction data does not need to be brought in as a seed data. Because think about this, deduplication. If you enter one opportunity, first of all, she will not enter the same opportunity.
Yes.
You are dealing with IBM, she is dealing with IBM. She will enter IBM again. But when she took the call, they must have told her that I need 200 servers. When the customer is dealing with you, he must have told you they want 1,000 laptops. You can create 2 master records and 2 transaction records. Transactions are actually different.
Yes.
But master data should be same. The account should have been same. And deduplication should be done for accounts, not for opportunities. Someone could argue, if they call her for 50 servers and they call you for 50 servers, then you would enter a duplicate opportunity. That should be deduct 2. Great answer. Very good observation. But it's not but. Let me answer it. This great question. It's a great question if someone asks it. Some people have asked it in the past. The answer is, customer would know he has been dealing with Sejal for 50 servers. So he might even bring it to your attention. I was dealing with this lady.
Yeah.
So you would end up knowing that you are entering the duplicate data. You look for that opportunity first. first of all, that call will not be routed to you. You will say, if you notice sometimes, oh, that rep was helping you, let me refer to that rep.
Right.
That happens with you, right?
Yes.
That's what is happening. They have a company level policy that you should not work on the opportunity. If customer mentions there is this opportunity, it should be referred to her.
Okay.
Yes.
Right?
It happens generally.
Right. Okay. So transaction level deduplication does not arise. Master data deduplication, the question is only of deduplication of master data. Deduplication is process of removing the duplicates.
Yes.
दिव्या, you asked me कि deduplicate होता है या duplicate होता है, तो मैं उसका आंसर दे रहा हूँ. Duplication means duplicate हो गया. Deduplicate means remove the duplicates. So the process of removing the duplicates arises only for master data, not for transactional data. Right? Quotes: transactional data or master data.
Transactional.
Smart scripts: transactional data or master data.
Smart scripts.
Do you know what is a smart script? Remember हम लोग सुबह डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. So what happens is, let's say we take a simple example of a smart script. One smart script is there which has just one question. Are you dealing with a partner of ours? Yes or no? This is a smart script. No? Perfect. Yes? Close it right here. Do whatever. So that is the smart script. So this is the simple question and two answer options in that smart script. Perfect. Instance is this: when customer calls, he asked this question: are you dealing with another customer? He says no. So we have to remember customer John, no. Second customer calls Jack. You ask the same question. He says no. So he said Jack, no. Third customer calls Sunil. We ask the same question. Yes, no. In a day, 100,000 customers could call and 100,000 instances will be generated.
Okay.
For every question, what was the answer given? This is the instance. That is the instance.
The example is understood.
Yeah, right. So these instances, what is it? Transactional data or master data?
Transaction.
It is transactional because in a day, many transactions are getting added, many records are getting added of the same thing. It's pulled from a master list. Agreed. But then every time an instance is created. ठीक है ना? तो ये एक बड़ा ही common scenario है. Every day, whenever you are explaining functionalities, this master transaction will come to picture. In my last project, I was dealing with an employee of the system integrator. She did not know this thing, and she used to bug me a lot. It was left up to me to explain things to her. I said that. So let me give you a perfect example rather. When the user is entering order, okay, he enters pizza. Instead of $10, the user should be, let's say the price of the pizza is $10. He should be override that price and give it for $7 to the customer. In our business, it is common that we give courtesy discounts to the customer right in front of us. So even if in the master list it is for $10, at the transaction level they can override it. Perfect. I explained the things clearly. So I explained it to her. She said, so you can edit the price at the transaction level. She can edit the price. So that means it will change the master list.
Why?
I said that's not what I said. At the transaction level, it is an editable field. Typically, it should be uneditable field at the transaction level because the price is directly dictated by the price list. Reps should not be able to change the price, right? So rep should not be able to change it at the transaction level. Simple. And it should not reflect, it should not go and change the master list of prices. आपको सब समझ में आया ना? एक सेकंड के अंदर उसको ऐसे ही समझाया. She couldn't understand even a single word because she did not know what is master data, what is transaction data. She was again and again confusing. She said, I don't want the price to be edited. I said, that is the requirement. She said, they want the requirements to change that, like the next time what will pop? I said, next time 10 will pop, not 7, because the master list is not changed. How will I explain that to you? In the next transaction, the price will be pulled again from the master list. She said, but you said that you can edit the price. I said, edit the price at the transaction level. She said, what do you mean by this transaction level, master level? I said, that is exactly what I mean. There is a master list. So I explained it to her. Let's say 5 orders are placed for the same pizza. So these are 5 transactions occurring. At the transaction level, the price of the pizza is an item and this is $7, right? So this is transaction level. One more thing, if the master list is changed by, like after 1 year we want to give it for $12, do you think all the $10 pizza, like the orders wherever it was for 7 or 10, they will change? No. Transaction should not change, because you want to keep a record of how much you sold it for, whether it was for 10 or 12 or 5 or 6, but you want to keep record of how much you sold it for. Right? So I kept on explaining this master level and transaction level is a great context. It makes the things quite clear, quite fast. At the transaction level, the price will not change and go and change the master level data. It's a simple thing. I cannot make it any simpler than this. I'm done. I'm a BA. I'm not a user trainer. I'm a user trainer, but I don't want to, train a BA like a fellow BA, who's working for system. So very good riddle. So a customer comes in, rep is all bent to please him. So he says, so she places order for $100 worth of goods. He applies a coupon to 25% cutoff. So a record is entered in the system. This is the customer. This is the order, $100 worth of clothing. This is the coupon. This is 25% off, and this is the bill, $25 total. This is the credit card she used, blah 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 blah. This coupon that is entered right here, the one that I explained, is it master data or transaction data? There are other types of data that I want to discuss. See, what happened is I saw different kinds of entities, and I know they have to be set up. They are not the transactions. They are not transaction entities. I could not find the names for those, so I gave them my own names. One is umbrella entity. I told you in the morning also, umbrella entity is my name. Program is a very good example. So there's a video on this, FAQ poll, one of the FAQ polls, that's what you can go through. Admin data. Admin data is like this. Perfect example is the smart script. Some administrator has to set it up. Sometimes business admin, but mostly IT admin. Responsibility, positions, all this is admin data. Someone has to set it up. But not only that, okay, like email templates have to be set up. Otherwise, system cannot be used properly. Making sense? App admin data. App admin is application admin. App admin data is like email templates. These have to, like perfect example is this smart script. This has to be set up first. Otherwise, do you think he will not be able to function? Well, he can enter the data, but he will, there is a proper reason why this functionalities are enabled because of this. Otherwise, this smart script cannot be, basically instance cannot be run, and that cannot be done. That whole process will get compromised, will not really work. So app admin data has to be set up on the first day before the rollout. This is another very important aspect of this whole thing.
Before production.
Yeah, before production rollout, it has to be set up. Right? Otherwise, they cannot. And these impact the functionalities. That's a key point, though. Umbrella entities impact the tracking. Program is a perfect umbrella entity. They tracking. Tracking means the totals. Whether the program they will be having a budget at the program level, $1 million. They'll see how much money we have used so far, how much return we have gotten so far. All this is what they can track. App admin data it helps in functionalities. For example, email templates have to be set up so that emails can be sent. So emails functionality will be dependent on email templates.
Lookup data is for searching or query?
Abhi karte. Roll up data. This roll up data is very important. So who knows forecasting? You know. So that forecast period is a roll up data. Because without this, if you don't set up forecast periods, so sometimes these guys, they want to track the totals at various levels. Like opportunities there. I know one total, like orders is there. I know one total. How much was the total money we made today? Right? But then how much money we made in the month of August? How much money we made in the... So this August has to be created, and every time the total of the orders has to be associated with that. So there should be a rule. If the order was submitted today, then it should be attached to that August period. If it was submitted between 1st August and 31st August. Other thing is, if the order was fulfilled between 1st August and 31st August, it should be associated to this thing, August data. Right? So this is like a report. August report chahiye mujhe. August order report.
Reporting, Gaurav?
Yeah. Yes. It comes a lot into reporting. So this August to me is a roll-up data. If you know anybody knows roll reporting in business intelligence, then you have heard of facts and dimensions. Have you ever heard of facts and dimensions? Facts are transactions, dimensions are master data. Different dimensions along which the facts can be observed. So one, facts and dimensions, it won't hit you. It will never hit you. But facts and dimensions. This is what I said, facts and dimensions. So roll-up data, what I'm really trying to say is different dimensions. Let's say you want to know, same data is there, what happened in August. You don't need another data. Same data can be used to roll up in a different fashion. I say, tell me, give me the weekly breakup. So I need to make weekly breakup. Same data is there. I don't need any other data. I just need to create new roll-up entities and associate this data to every week, depending on the close date of the order, submitted date of the order. Making sense? So you must be wondering why we have to keep seeing roll-up entities. ये सब है. So they say कि हमें account wise roll-ups चाहिए. Every opportunity, every order when it's ready, we want to know account level roll-up. You go to the system and you realize 50% of the orders don't have accounts listed there. Can we have the true account roll-up? No. You cannot have the true account roll-up because it cannot be associated to any account. 50% of the orders, 50% is a big number. They cannot be associated to anything. So can you have a report? How much money was generated by one account? You are able to understand at the process level easily. I'm happy here. There is no problem here. Functional level पे देख लेंगे कभी भी जब fit करेगा. अभी आपने कौन सा roll-up पे काम करना. But the point is, these roll-ups have to be set up and they have to be associated. Sometimes the association can be made automatically. It's great there. Whenever it cannot be made automatically, it's a bad scenario. That's where your analysis will come into picture and you'll say, these roll-ups are not possible, ma'am, because you guys have been entering data in a junky fashion, right? Because when you enter opportunities, you don't enter account. So that's why your opportunities are very orphan in nature, and there is no account mentioned for every opportunity. So forget the roll-ups at the account level. Okay, but typical roll-ups are against periods. They will in the next quarter, in the previous quarter, how much money we made in the previous quarter, things like that. I call these as roll-up entries because these are not these are for tracking purpose. I don't want to draw the difference between program and roll-ups. If you confuse this, it's fine. You know different types of roll-ups that you can run into basically. The different kinds of situations you can run into. These words are my words. Don't use it everywhere, guys. Cool, GK, very good. So typically, as you can clearly see, close date is there. You send the data to data warehouse. They can make a guess which roll-up it should be attached to, whether it's an August roll-up, whether it's a September roll-up. So this determination is typically done in the data warehouse system, and that's where this thing comes into picture. That's why they have a huge philosophy of facts and dimension. Right? Perfect. That is right. Sometimes in Siebel also this has to be done, as you know. Yes. If they ask you questions from this, you should be able to answer. That's it. That's why I'm teaching you. Otherwise, how many times has this hit me? Every project at least once or twice. For example, in my last company, okay, every time an item was sold, they wanted to roll it up to category. Their categories were like this: food, beverage, alcoholic beverage, meat, things like that. They have different categories. Okay. So what we did is, for every product that they could potentially sell, we associate that to a product category. Okay? They used to call it revenue category. They wanted to track how much money they are making on meat, how much money they are making on beverages, how much money they are making on alcoholic beverages, how much money they are making on these things. Okay? So they wanted to track all this. So simple thing is, for every product I mentioned which category does it belong to. Now when the transaction occurs, that meat is sold. When the meat is sold, then association ban gaya na? The data association is already made. These were 4 meats were sold today, and the price charge was 20, 30, total was 80, and it is associated to meat category, non-veg category. That is behind the scenes. This system can make a determination how much money was sold for this category. So far, so good. For every line item, for every product, if I maintain a revenue category, I could easily roll it up to revenues. and I could provide the details of every transaction and total it up to the revenue. Good. They introduce a new functionality into the system. Let's say a product is missing in the drop down. So let me give you the gravity of that functionality. Let's say the product is missing in the pick applet. In Dell, you want to buy a laptop, it is not there on the website. Should you be allowed to buy? No. Everybody follows this. If a room is not available, it's not available in the drop down of the available rooms, should the front office guy be allowed to check? System has made the determination this room is not available, so don't allow. In hospitality business, it is a possibility that customer might ask for halwa and you have to provide him the halwa, which is not there as present as a standard product. And that is their main business because they could charge a premium price for that halwa now. They could get it for $2 and literally send it for $200 because who knows why they are asking for halwa. Typically, it happens a lot in case of premium beverages like blue label things. The guy will say, I need 2 blue labels. They did not negotiate the price beforehand and we don't even sell it. But we got it from a liquor store down the road and sell it to them for 3 times the price for $1,000. The bottle cost plus $300. That's a premium source of revenue. So they want their reps to be able to enter custom products functionality. That's what it's called. They want the reps to be able to enter custom products. They should be able to enter the products on the go. Should it update the master list? No. At the transaction level, but they should be able to enter a new product. When they enter a new product, how would the pricing be determined? Because what the price is determined at the master list level. Let's say he enters some like regular meat product like chicken biryani. It will bring the cost $20 and that's what will be charged to the customer. But what will be the price for this thing? Halwa and blue. It will be added by the rep only at the transaction level. That this is the price I'm charging him. So far, so good. So price list also here becomes an issue and we are able to do this. What about the revenue category? Abhi, it has to roll up to something, right? Who will add the revenue category now? Otherwise this revenue will be untracked. Company would have made $10 million in a month, but they will be able to track the revenue of only $9.5 million. You are paying $20 million for a software, you better know how to track it. You better find out a way to track it, right? Especially when the legacy system that they were using, which they bought it off the shelf for $20, was allowing them to track it properly. That's where the issue comes. You say, I'm bringing a premium system to them, whatever. The sales pitch is very weird. Obviously, I've never been a part of this, but this is what goes behind the scenes. They keep on saying this, and they say $20 में अच्छा system मिला था, बहुत अच्छा काम करता था. आपका $20 million का software भी काम नहीं करता है. This is a typical thing. Anyway, so this revenue has to be entered manually by the guy now. Otherwise, the roll-up will not occur properly. It will hit you every day. Whenever you are thinking of a functionality, think of the other functionalities that it is supposed to support, which will get spoiled, which will get which will not work properly if this functionality requirements you accept. So you have to redo the requirements for those additional functionalities. So you said that you'll provide revenue rollups. Now you cannot provide revenue rollups if you accept this custom product requirement. So if you do accept, you need to regather the requirements for the rollup also. मास्टर लिस्ट आपको पता है, प्राइस लिस्ट होती है, अकाउंट लिस्ट, ये सारे तरह तरह के डेटा हैं. मास्टर डेटा, लुकअप डेटा कर लेते हैं. लुकअप डेटा एक बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट मास्टर डेटा होता है. Let's say we have to provide a functionality. Whenever the zip code is entered, city and state should be automatically populated. System has to maintain a lookup table behind the scenes. System has to maintain a lookup table behind the scenes. Simple. बड़ी लेट मुझे ध्यान आया कि मैं चेक कर लूँ मेरी आवाज़ वगैरह ठीक रिकॉर्ड हो रही है कि नहीं. कर लूँ मैं ज़रा चेक, मुझे थोड़ी सी एकदम से हुई है.